Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. Today we're going to cut through all of the confusion and talk about the most likely explanation for what's going on here on this planet with regard to the non-human intelligent presence that's here with us. With all due respect to the people out there who believe that there's no way that some extraterrestrial race could travel great distances through space to get here, well, please explain the apparent extraterrestrials that are here. Then, I mean, could you please? I get sick of the hearing people always talking about the Fermi paradox, and when they bring it up, you see a lot of different so-called smart, intelligent people on YouTube, right, saying things about that the Fermi paradox is, basically, it's a great, like they bring it up and they think they're really smart when they bring it up. You're not. You're stupid. It's invalid. There's no reason to even talk about it. The Fermi paradox makes absolutely no sense to me. Basically, what that is, back in the early 1950s, there was this scientist named Enrico Fermi who said, if there's aliens here, then where are they? Where is everybody, right? And that's what you hear a lot of scientists today talk like this, and they say, well, where is everybody? You're stupid because you haven't done your research. There's something here. Don't you see them? Don't you see this stuff that we've been talking about all these years? Haven't you read the books? Haven't you done your research? All right, so the Fermi paradox is completely invalid. There's no reason to even talk about it. And every time I see a scientist who thinks they're smart talking about it, I realize, wow, this person's really stupid. Because the Fermi paradox, no, it doesn't apply. Maybe back in 1950 or whatever, when Fermi came up with it, it may have made some sense back then, because at that point we really didn't have a lot of evidence out there. But at this point, after all these decades, the Fermi paradox is passé. It's invalid anymore. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. Because obviously there's something here with us, and I believe personally that they figured out a way to travel deep through, 10,000 light years through space to get here. They must have figured something out, because they're here. How do you explain it? How do you explain it otherwise, right? They're here. There's something here with us. Where do they come from? And with all due respect to the people out there who believe that these beings come from another dimension, or the ultra-terrestrial crowd who thinks that there's some intelligence here with us that exists at a higher frequency and a lower density than we exist, and they could just make things appear out of thin air. I don't buy any of that. I don't think there's any evidence whatsoever to support that, really. There's more evidence to support that there's beings coming here from someplace else, that they came here and they stayed here, right? I mean, it's not like they show up here and then they hang out for a day and then fly back to their planet. No, it's some people out there particularly people who don't follow this subject, they have it in their heads that we think that they're coming and going, all the time. I mean, there could be trips back to their planet here and there, but I think for the most part, they came here in mass and they stayed here, and they're up to something here. Right, that's what I think. And based on the research of alien abduction researchers, like people like David M. Jacobs, I think it's pretty clear what the situation is. I think what the alien grays that people experience, the short grays, the tall grays, and everything in between, like some of them short, little, pudgy, blue-colored creatures, right? I think that all of those things are hybrids. All of those things were created specifically by insectoid creatures that are in control of this whole situation. Somehow on some planet, somewhere deep in space, apparently insects evolved into an intelligent species, right? And then at some point they started taking over planets. Like, I think what's going on right here is planetary acquisition, possibly. You hear some people that have connections to the government sometimes make statements like, if the people knew what's going on, they'd freak out. It's unbelievable. They can't really talk about this. You hear stuff like that, and that could be because of this situation. What else would it be, right? That's what it is, because that's what it looks like it's been happening all these years. And we don't know how long it's been going on. I would say since at least 1947, but it could be going on for centuries. I mean, we don't know. We have no clue, but it's happening. That's what this is all about. And then there are some people who get abducted and they say that they not only are they seeing these short grays, tall grays, right? But they're also, and sometimes they see the insectoid creatures, but they also see reptilian creatures. I believe the reptilians that people see, they seem to be doing the same kind of menial tasks as the grays. So some researchers say that they may have been taken from another planet. They could either be hybridized somewhat, right? Or they could just be working for the insectoids. Maybe they have no choice. Who knows exactly? But the insectoids are the ones that are in charge. The ones that look like big praying mantises or big ants. They're the ones in charge, right? And apparently they created these grays probably out of us, right? Them and us, right? It's probably half insects, half people, right? And then same thing with the tall grays, the ones that do the examinations and the removal of sperm and eggs from their targets, right? So they created them via a hybridization program, and they may have hybridized those reptile creatures, but those, I believe that it's possible that those reptilian creatures that some people sometimes see when during abduction events, that they were actually from a planet that was all up conquered, who knows, way in the past somewhere by these insectoid creatures, and now they have these reptilians helping them along too, either hybridized or not, whatever the case. So that's what's going on here. And then the other thing that people talk about during abductions, they say that the insectoid creatures have, some of them are wearing cloaks or capes with high collars. If you think about like ants, like right now on this planet, ants are one of the smartest insects on this planet. And you could have a colony of 20,000 ants, but you're only going to have a handful, 5 or 6 drones, male drones, and then you'll have a couple of queens maybe, or just one queen. Those ones with the high collars, that could either be a queen, what the people are seeing, of this hive, right, of this insectoid hive, an intelligent insectoid hive, or it could be a drone, and maybe that is the difference, right? They wear different kinds of outfits so you distinguish their authority, their position within the hive that they're part of. I mean, you have to think about this. If they're not coming from other planets, then how do you explain all of the craft that people have been seeing, all the UFOs? Where are they constructing these things? Right? They have to be getting constructed someplace. Has anyone ever found a manufacturing plant of alien craft on this planet? No. I'm not saying it's not possible, but they had to happen somewhere. You think we would have known about it at some point, right? Well, that's never happened. Obviously, they must have come from someplace else. They must have built these things someplace else, loaded them all up into these giant motherships that people sometimes see, like the Phoenix Lights incident or the Stephenville, Texas incident, and then fly the whole kit and caboodle to this planet. That could be what's going on. And then maybe those craft are hiding under the oceans. We know that they're in the water. We know that there's a lot of different sightings out in the oceans, right? Or big bodies of water, or small bodies of water for that matter. They're able to hide their craft inside the ocean, for instance, like say these motherships. For all we know, those motherships might be giant manufacturing facilities to create more craft. We don't know. Or they just could be a storage facility to keep craft that were manufactured somewhere else inside and bring them here. But obviously they're here because we see them all the time. People are seeing UFOs every single day of the week, right? People are having encounters with alien creatures all the time. We have the evidence that shows that there's alien creatures here on this planet, or whatever they are, non-human intelligence. I think that they're aliens. And I think what could be going on here is this slow process to slowly absorb the humankind, and at some point in the future, when they reach the certain point of whatever their idea is for this new change that's coming, then maybe there'll be an announcement from them. Who knows? Maybe not. Maybe we just roll into our next reality and we don't even realize what happened. But the fact of the matter is that there is something here. And, a lot of different people I've talked to, like I've had interviews over the last few years with a lot of different researchers. And some of them, not all of them, but some of them, privately will tell me that they don't think it's good. They think that the purpose behind all of this is not good for us anyway. I mean, and I have to agree with this. I mean, you look at the way we are, right? The way we fight and everything, kill each other. I mean, and we're advancing, we have to look at as like a threat. So that's why I think it's possible that these beings that are here with us right now, that are led by these insect creatures, right? These praying mantis aliens, they're the ones in charge. I think that they're slowly acquiring this planet, and they're doing so through a hybridization program. Like right now, living among us are people that look like people, but they're not people. They're part people and they're part insect, part human, part insect. And and at some point they'll be put into action for something, who knows what, but there's going to be a change coming according to these creatures. I mean, there's been so many people abducted, and a lot of those people under hypnotic regression talk about some sort of a change that these aliens are looking forward to. And that change, according to some researchers, is these beings taking over the planet, taking control of everything. One world government with the praying mantis alien at the top of the food chain. And we're just underneath it, right? And who knows what they're going to use this for? I don't know, food maybe, slavery, who knows? Could be anything. But I don't think it's good, whatever it is. This is just, it doesn't make me right. This is just my opinion at this point, because the fact of the matter is, these beings never made themselves known. They're very secretive. I know that they're here because I saw one of them, right? I saw one of their craft too. And so many millions of other people out there that have encountered these creatures, either seen their craft or unexpectedly, or the creatures themselves. And we have evidence, right? We've talked about that evidence all the time on here, all different kinds of cases too. It's not just, there's you put it all together, right? There's just no question about it. So that's what's going on, I think, folks. And I don't think it has anything to do with, with beings from another dimension, beings from that are here, ultra-terrestrials, some other consciousness. I don't think it has anything to do with that. I could be proven wrong. I'm not completely poo-pooing any of these other hypotheses. I'm just saying, I believe that they're coming from other planets, and these people, these scientists out there who say it's completely impossible and it will never happen, I think they're absolutely stupid. That's what I have to say. They're so pig-headed that they're reliant on what scientific data allows at this moment in time, and they don't foresee any changes to what we know now, apparently. Because they're very, very stern about where we are and what the possibilities of traveling through space are. They seem like there's no really getting any better than where we are right now, for the most part. And there's no light speed and all that kind of stuff. But obviously, right, here's the thing. Maybe there's other ways of getting around all of this, right? Because there's something here. How do you explain it, right? How do you explain the beings that people see here? How do you explain the beings that we could show you right now? If I wanted to, I could point them out to you right now and show you the different cases. So I guess the bottom line is this, is that I believe that this is a colonization that's going on we're dealing with creatures from other worlds. I believe that whatever logic they go by, I believe it would probably make absolutely no sense to us. I believe insect logic is completely different than what human logic would be. So it would be very difficult to make sense out of what their plans are or why they're doing it. I think this is one of the reasons why it would be very difficult to have disclosure. Like, how could the government talk about this? Because the second the government acknowledges the reality that there's a non-human intelligent presence on this planet, what I'm talking about here is going to be the next series. It's going to be part of the next series of questions. And how do you tell people about that? Think about it. How could an authority on this planet say the stuff I'm saying right now? It would cause concern amongst the populace, for sure. Okay. It's going to drive, for one thing, religions are going to completely implode, right? And people are going to be going nuts if you were to tell them this part, right, of what the reality is with these, why they're here, right? Because that's probably what it is, right? That's just my opinion. That's what it seems like, because it doesn't make any other sense. Nothing else really makes much sense to me otherwise, really. I mean, the whole thing really all ties together. When all the research, you put it all together, it does seem like this is what's going on, that it is some sort of a colonization program. And wouldn't this be the way to go about it too? I mean, if you're going to take over a planet, instead of, blowing everything up, right, and destroying everything, why not do it covertly? Where people don't even know that you're here. You try to keep your presence as secret as possible. And then you have the governments of the world going along with you because they know how scary it all is. And they don't want the public to know what they know. Oh my God, if the whole world knows this, then what's going to happen then? What will the phenomenon do if we tell the world the truth, and Then they all start putting two and two together, and they realize it's a hybridization program. Will the phenomenon react then? There's all kinds of different issues uh, behind it that prevent disclosure, and this is one of them. I mean, how do you come clean about this part of it? I mean, it's one thing admitting, yeah, something crashed in Roswell back in 1947. That's one thing, right? And it's one thing to say, yeah, and we recovered a craft and alien bodies during the Roswell case. And you could talk about that. You could talk about some of the other crashes and the recoveries, but then the next question becomes, okay, why are they here? What did you figure out there? And then what are they going to say? They're going to have to come up with some lie, probably, and that's not going to fly, right? They're going to have to come up with evidence to this effect as well. They'll have to come up with assurances from the aliens themselves, saying, "Oh yeah, we're not here to harm you." But do they have those assurances? I don't think so. I would doubt it. They probably got nothing. I know there's stories out there that the United States government made a deal with aliens. I don't believe that. I'm sorry. That's one aspect of this whole conspiracy that I don't buy, because I don't see why these aliens would have any reason to make deals with us, right? Why? What's the purpose when our technology is here, their technology is way up there somewhere? Like, why? What are you talking about? Like that would be like trying to make a deal with wild boars in the bush. I mean, they're not going to do. To me, that's all nonsense. I think that's all just false stories that were deliberately put out there in the past by people within the government for some reason or other. Who knows? But it doesn't matter. What's going to happen is if there's a disclosure, the next question is going to be, well, what about all these alien abductions and this alleged hybridization program? Is it really true that there are beings among us that look just like people, and they're walking around among us, and we can't differentiate between them and the aliens that made them? Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that people are going to start talking about, and it would be incredibly concerning for a lot of people. So that's what it boils down to, folks. I just think that this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with creatures that are insects that evolved somewhere else out in space on some other planet somewhere, right? As crazy as that sounds, and they started acquiring other planets and then now we're just the latest planet in line here. I think this has been going on for, who knows, hundreds of millions of years for all we know. Tens of thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years. We just can't say, but I think that it's very possible that they've been doing this to other planets as well. They take it over, they hybridize different creatures, and they slowly acquire it via this hybridization means. That's what I think is happening here. And it makes it a very difficult thing to tell the public the truth about that we're not alone, because then the next question becomes, what about all this stuff? And that's the bottom line. That's why it's so hard. It would be so difficult to disclose the truth. And that's why I still don't think it's going to happen. We're going to continue to get videos of UFOs. We're going to continue to get stuff like that. We'll get some more documents. I mean, but are we ever going to get the full truth from them? No, they can't do it. And it's probably because one of the biggest reasons was probably what I'm talking about right here. That's what it probably is. Am I saying there's no other aliens from other worlds coming here? No, I think it seems like that could be the case. There's some stories where you hear the descriptions and they're completely different than anything you ever heard of before. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but I think the main non-human intelligence here is these insectoid creatures, and they have other ones working for them, these reptilian creatures that may have been hybridized from a different planet that was acquired by them in the long past, or enslaved by them, or put to work by the insectoids, and they're just working along beside these hybridized beings, these biological robots, right? The greys, to do this abduction program, hybridization program. That's all part of the same thing. And how do you tell the public this? I mean, you wouldn't be able to tell the public that. But the problem is the second you tell the public the truth about the non-human intelligent presence on this planet, then this is what's going to happen. What I'm talking about right here, right now. People are going to start wondering about this. And people who don't even think about this. Like, I've already thought about this myself. I'm sure a lot of you out there have thought about it as well. But there's other people out there who don't even think about this subject at all. They still think it's silly. And then all of a sudden you're going to lay all of this on them, and you're going to tell them, okay, yeah, not only are we not alone, but it looks like they're slowly taking over our planet via a hybridization program. That's when the trouble starts. So that's why it's so difficult to tell the people the truth. And that's why we're probably never going to get disclosure, despite the fact you have people talking about disclosure all the time. You hear Tim Burchett, a congressman. You got to love listening to that guy, right? I mean, he knows something's going on. He says he thinks the public can handle it. Could they handle this part, though? I don't know. I mean, I think we should do. I think we should. We need to deal with it. I personally believe we need to let this out, right? The people need to know because of all these things. The scientific community, especially, needs to know about this, so they could start doing some investigation into this. Seriously, not just secret government scientists working at Area 51. I'm talking about all over the world, openly looking into this issue. I mean, I had that one guy on here, that one. Rempel, Dr. Max Rempel on here, who's doing a program right now where he's trying to determine, he's looking at different people who have been abducted and to see if they have alien DNA. That's what the kind of stuff that's going on. Some people are actually doing this. Some scientists are smart about it. They don't care what anybody else says. But the whole world needs to be involved here. The whole world needs to be alerted to this situation. You just don't. If something like this is going on, think about what would be better, to tell the whole world the truth, which should have happened a long time ago, or to just don't say anything. Let's just write it out, because that's what it feels like. By not telling the world the truth, you're just letting it all ride out. If it is a hybridization program and you don't do anything about it, you don't tell the public about it, then you're destroying the future of the human race potentially. For all we know, maybe they're up to something good, and we don't know. But we don't know what it is right now. But we should. Everybody needs to know about this presence here, and they also need to know that there is an apparent hybridization program ongoing. What does it mean for our future? What does it mean? I think we need to know the answer to that. And the only way to get those answers is to come clean and finally tell the truth. I know how hard it is, right? Because of what we're talking about right here. But the world needs to know about it, for as crazy as it sounds, because it sounds totally crackpot to me. But at the same time, I know that they're real. I know that these creatures are really here. So we got to face the truth, despite how crazy it might sound. What's really funny is, like, when you think about it, I just, in the previous episode, I had mentioned some science fiction movies from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. I was talking about some of that stuff. And when you really think about it, a lot of the ideas that we see from some of those movies, at the time, it's just a scary old movie. It's just a story. It's not real. But now, as time goes on, it seems like life is imitating art somewhat, because the hybridization program is very, very similar to what we see going on in John Carpenter's The Thing, right? I mean, basically an alien organism is taking over human beings and replacing them with things that look like human beings, but they're not. Same thing with Invasion of the Body Snatchers. We could be living through a real, live Invasion of the Body Snatchers sort of situation here. And that's why it needs to be kept secret. People in governments think that this is something that they don't want to share. And maybe they're studying it behind the scenes. They're trying to figure things out themselves. But I just don't know. See, here's the problem. When we know enough in the public now. There's enough data in the public right now, based on research, like from people like David M. Jacobs, and books like this, Walking Among Us, which I talk about all the time. These are the books that really, scare me the most, right? Because this guy did this research. He sat down with all of these alien abductees and did hypnotic regressions with them. And his conclusions is that there's a hybridization program going on, and that there are insectoid creatures that are in charge of this whole situation, and they're planning some sort of a big change with them in charge. That's his conclusion. He studied this, not me, not you. He did. David M. Jacobs, along with other people who are no longer with us now right now, like Bud Hopkins and John Mack. Leo Sprinkle. There's all different names out there, people that have studied alien abductions, and they came away with certain ideas about what's going on. And Jacobs came up with this concept that it looks like there's a hybridization program. And that's, to me, that's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. You take us over the human race from the inside out. You do it very, very secretly. You try to make sure that nobody knows what you're up to, even though over the decades we're starting to figure it out now. Is it too late? That's the whole thing. I think, see, this is one of the biggest reasons why we're not having disclosures, because, yeah, they could come clean about, oh, yes, guess what? There's aliens out there, but then there's going to be other questions, right? All of these alien abductees who have implants, some of them have alien implants that they take. And there's going to be so many different questions about all of this stuff. And that's why disclosure is taking time. They just don't know where it's going to go once it happens, right? But here's the thing. A lot of us out here already do know this. We're talking about it. Okay, if they're insects from another world, which it looks like they are, that's what it looks like. They seems like they are technologically advanced ants from another planet. That's basically what we're dealing with here. And we need to figure it out. We need to have people who are experts on insects to tell us what to expect from technologically advanced insects. I mean, that's what we need to be talking. That's where we need to be right now. But we're not. Instead, we're debating on whether we're alone or not. Still, when the evidence is right there in front of all of our faces that says no, we're not alone. And there's not only are we not alone, there's some sort of a infiltration into the human race here. I mean, and they're trying to take us over somehow through this hybridization program. That's the stuff we need to be talking about. We should be concentrating on those things and not debating with each other. I'm so tired of seeing people debating with debunkers online. It's so stupid at this point, including myself. I've done it too. We're wasting our time. We should be over that red line and talking about what the implications are. And is there anything we should do to stop it? Is it bad or is it good? I don't know. I really don't know. I can't say. Nobody can right now. But maybe people in the government who have been studying this privately and who have access to recovered alien craft and bodies and perhaps even living aliens, they would have more answers to share with us. And despite how terrifying it is, they need to share this with us. The world needs to know. I mean, why is Max Rimple trying to figure out if some alien abductees have alien DNA or not? Because he sees, he's not stupid. He knows that there's something going on. There are some people out there that are trying to do the right thing, trying to get to the bottom of this mystery, trying to find answers. We need to know. Everybody needs to be alerted to this. And hey, if there's a reaction from the phenomenon, hey, bring it on. Bring it on then. That's how we should be acting about that's how we should be about this, right? That's how I look at it. So what? And yeah, okay, yeah. Are some people going to go nuts for a little bit? Yeah, they will, but the rest of the world won't. There'll be a lot of people there'll be people to help calm them down, right? We just need to know the truth already, despite how terrifying it might be. I guess that's the point of what I'm saying. And I also want to point out again to all those scientists who believe that there's no way that an alien race could travel tens of thousands of light years through space to get here. Well, guess what? You're obviously wrong. I mean, how do you explain the aliens that we see in some of the cases we've been talking about on here, like in the Vegas alien incident? You see the evidence with your own eyeballs. You see the proof of the aliens in the backyard. What about the Ariel school incident? You have aliens showing up and little kids, over 60 little kids talking to them. I mean, what are you talking? They came from someplace. Or I know you don't believe in them, obviously. If you believed in them, then you would at least give the concept of traveling through space a minute. But you don't give it any kind of credence whatsoever right now. I don't get it. Again, the Fermi paradox is junk. It's done. It means nothing. It's invalid. We have evidence now that shows that there's something here. You have everybody in Congress and their grandmother talking about UFOs these days, and whistleblowers. We have whistleblowers dying mysteriously. We have scientists who allegedly worked on UFO programs dying and missing, dying mysteriously or going missing mysteriously. We have all kinds of stuff going on right now. If you can't see it, then that's on you. You did not do your research. You did not study this. Just because they didn't have that UFO class at Harvard doesn't mean that that doesn't mean it doesn't mean anything. Just because Harvard's not talking about it, or that's not that. You should have been researching this yourself, right? A smart person would be researching this themselves instead of laughing about it like Neil deGrasse Tyson does on a regular basis. The bottom line, folks, is I don't think it's like E.T. the Extraterrestrial. I don't think it's nice and fuzzy like that. I think they're up to something. Obviously, they wouldn't be so secretive in what they do, right? They would have came out and introduced themselves a long time ago. Obviously, they're not interested in that. Obviously, their agenda is something that we can't even imagine. They're taking over the planet. Apparently, that's why they're here. They're colonizing Earth. They have colonized it. They're already here. And now they're just trying to slowly take control of it without us realizing what's going on. That's what it seems like to me. Anyway, Uh, I think that's the bottom line here is this again is that one of the reasons holding back disclosure is this reason right here, the potential that there's a hybridization program going on, which I think there is. I think that that's what it is. There's just too many witnesses, too much evidence. Read the books by Jacobs and you'll know what I'm talking about. Read the books by Bud Hopkins. All these people, you put it together yourself, you can figure it out. Obviously, they're up to something, right? They're creating things. They're using our DNA for something, right? And what's the end game? What's this change they're talking about that they've told people, hinted at to some of these abductees? What's that all about? We need to know the answers to this. And I wonder if people in the government do know that answer already. And that's one of the reasons why they're not talking about this. But they need to start doing it. They need to come clean and just let the world know what the situation is. And that's it. Then we just take it from there. Anyway, I just want to say this. I want to say thank you all for joining me today. Until next time.